presentation is about the rise and fall of Napoleon's empire and the development of Romanticism in the early 19th century.
Napoleon Bonaparte was born on the Mediterranean island of Corsica in 1769 to poor French nobles. He became a French artillery officer in 1785 and was promoted to a brigadier general after impressively retrieving the port of Toulon in 1793. He eventually won a command of Italy. When France was at war with Austria and Sardinia, Napoleon, on behalf of the French, defeated their armies, which made him a hero. Napoleon's next move was to invade Egypt in order to damage British trade. Although the attack failed, it marked the beginning of French domination of Western Europe and made other powers such as Russia, Austria, and the Ottomans uneasy. Napoleon returned to Paris, pushing the director Abbé Sieyès aside, and formed the Constitution of the year 8 through a military coup d'etat. This constitution made him the nationalistic leader of France.
As Napoleon established himself as the first consul, the rule of one man led to less internal fighting in France. The peasants and the Third Estate supported Napoleon because he allowed the feudal system to remain abolished, and he re-established effective Parisian rule in Brittany and Vendée. The upper classes in France and around Europe were easily manipulated by Napoleon because of his flattery, bribery, and generosity. His acceptance of any man loyal to him, regardless of political history, appeased many conflicting groups. His creation of the secret police squashed the budding royalist rebellion as well. Napoleon made peace with the Catholic Church through a concordat supported by Pope Pius VII. The refractory and revolutionary clergy were forced to resign from their positions so that new state-funded bishops could be placed in each district of France. The Church, once and for all, gave up claims to their property. Military peace was achieved throughout Europe when France's war with Russia ended and when Austria left the war after the Treaty of Luneville. After a bomb threat on his life, Napoleon established a new constitution that declared himself to be Emperor of the French, formed a dynasty, and made any future assassination attempts pointless.
In 1804, French laws were reformed and unified with the Napoleonic Code. It protected property and abolished primogeniture practices while maintaining conservative ideas towards women and labor. Between 1805 and 1807, Napoleon successfully conquered a majority of Europe. Although the British were superior on the sea and defeated France at the Battle of Trafalgar, Napoleon was able to have major victories on land. During this short amount of time, he was able to occupy Vienna and Italy from Austria as well as Berlin and East Prussia, dissolving the Holy Roman Empire.
The European response to Napoleon's ventures were uneasy and resistant. Conquered states grew unhappy because Napoleon's policies were clearly intended to help France before other nations in the empire. German nationalism developed because French interference endangered the German-speaking people's achievements. German laypeople especially criticized their princes for their eagerness to aid Napoleon. Specifically, the Germanic state of Prussia began reforms and built an enormous army. Austria renewed its war with the Empire in 1809, this time for revenge. A lost battle at Wagram subdued their strength again, and Napoleon took Archduchess Marie-Louise of Austria as his wife. In Spain, Napoleon's attacks on church privileges were seen as attacks on Christianity itself, which led to public outrage. The upper classes still tended to collaborate with Napoleon's efforts, and once again the peasants and lower clergy rebelled. Russia did not respond well to Napoleon's liberal politics or the continental system, which prohibited its timber sales to Britain. In 1810, Russia withdrew from the system and began war preparations against Napoleon. The war was not effective for either country, and both lost thousands of soldiers. Russia intentionally set fire to Moscow while following a scorched earth tactic, and Napoleon was forced to retreat before the harsh Russian winter.
The Congress of Vienna was led by Britain, Austria, Russia, and Prussia, who all came to the agreement that a single nation, like France, shouldn't have significant control over Europe. To ensure this, the Kingdom of Netherlands, including Belgium and Luxembourg, was formed, as well as Genoa, while Austria took charge in northern Italy and legitimate monarchs were set up throughout Germany in order to make France's borders powerful. Russia was able to rule part of Poland, while Prussia ruled Saxony. When Napoleon returned to France from Elba, where he was exiled to after his first fall, many French people welcomed him with open arms. Although he proposed a more liberal constitution and an end to constant warfare, the Allies were not convinced and declared him an outlaw. the British army, with the help of Prussia, defeated Napoleon at Waterloo, exiling him to St. Helena, where he would die in 1821.
The term Romanticism was introduced in the Renaissance, yet the movement did not flourish until the early 19th century in reaction against the rational scientific ideas of the Enlightenment. Romanticism is mainly seen in literature and philosophy, as well as in the renewed importance of religion in the period. A fascination with medieval art, architecture, and literature, including fairy tales and folklore, was also common. Romanticism focused on phenomena such as hallucinations and dreams to suggest the inexplicable nature of the world, which starkly contrasted the empiricism apparent in Enlightenment thought. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was an influential figure on Romantic writers, though he also preferred parts of Enlightened theory. He believed that society and materialism corrupted people, and insisted that the creativity of children, especially when they were allowed to explore through trial and error, provided human freedom essential to leading a happy life. As a result, Romantics valued individuality and led to further exploration of childhood. Immanuel Kant was another influential writer, stretched between Romantic and Enlightened ideals. He studied the mind's perception and said that pure reason influenced one's sensory experiences. Practical reason came to represent one's conscience, and he said categorical imperative is the innate sense of morality and awareness. Essentially, Kant did believe that human reason was generally passive, but had the potential to pierce higher understanding.
Romantic literature was started in Germany and Italy. It encouraged the use of imagination that went against rules and reason. Novels were often emotional and reflected medieval romance works. Romantic poetry promoted creativity and was considered above all. Popular Romantic writers were Mary Godwin Shelley with Frankenstein and Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who wrote supernatural poems. Romantic art often portrayed the Middle Ages and the stability of that time accompanied with it. Many artists showed their love of nature and the mysteriousness of it through their paintings. Caspar David Friedrich illustrated the power of nature in the polar sea. In response to deism, the Methodist movement was started by John Wesley. They valued personal and sincere religion and made it emotional and spirited. Romanticism viewed individual cultures as important, as well as the study of them. Herder, a German Romantic, encouraged the preservation of traditional German culture, such as songs and sayings. The Grimm brothers are another popular example of this, with their preservation of fairy tales.
This has been a presentation by Savannah Stutzman and Maddie Johnson.